The future of Victorian infrastructure is green. Recycling Victoria has laid out a 10-year roadmap to a circular economy, a future where our state's public and private sectors will unite to prioritise sustainability. At the core of this are our public assets, the roads and railroads that connect us and ignite possibilities. But where does the change to green thinking begin? The Recycled First policy. Recycled First will require transport infrastructure projects to optimise the use of Victorian recycled and reused materials. This will see the use of recycled aggregates, glass, plastic, timber, steel, ballast, crushed brick, crumb rubber and reclaimed asphalt pavement take precedence over virgin materials. For information, technical advice and support on bringing your sustainable project innovations to life, drop ecologiQ a line. Recycled First, supporting purposely greener infrastructure.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Innovation Showcase. So thank you for dialing in this morning. My name's Doi Lee, and I'll be your host for today. When I'm not hosting the ecologiQ Showcase, I'm the Industry Manager of ecologiQ, and along with my co-pilot, Lauren Rowett, we work to support Victorian businesses and manufacturers bring new and innovative recycled materials to the major transport infrastructure space. But certainly, I know there's a lot of you in the audience here who are dialing in from interstate and other areas as well. And so we hope that today's showcase bears fruit for everyone who's dialed in. Before I get started, I do want to acknowledge, although we're meeting virtually, that we still meet on traditional lands. So for me, I'm sitting on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations. I'd like to acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging, and any First Nation people that we might have here on the call today. So for those of you who haven't heard of ecologiQ before, we're a Victorian government program and we exist to bring about the Recycle First policy. So I'm not going to say this is a new policy anymore. It's been in effect since March 2020, but it does mean that here in Victoria, those 6 flagship transport projects that you see across the screen there, we now have 51 projects across those 6 projects that have Recycle First requirements. What that means is that our transport infrastructure projects are being asked to optimize the use of recycled materials. We know that we're in both a waste crisis. We've got challenges with our resourcing materials. We do need to build more sustainably, and it's all part of a broader circular economy transition. So ecologiQ provides a lot of scaffolding around that, the projects to support them to update standards and specifications, work with the market to build their supply chain and capability, and it's all part of that broader transition. So and to date, 3.2 million tonnes of recycled materials have been used on Victorian transport projects, which is pretty exciting, but I think with 51 projects with those commitments, we can see plenty more to come. So today's event is all about helping businesses, and to help with giving that advice, I've enlisted 3 expert panelists, and I'd like to introduce them now. So Andrew Papakostas, Department of Transport, did you want to say hello to the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Diane. Good morning, everyone. So my name's Andrew Papakostas, Principal Engineer, Pavements and Materials within the Department of Transport and Planning. One of those tasks that I deal with is technical standards and specifications, and looking at part of that role, innovative products, which also captures recycled materials. Thanks, Di.
Thanks, Andrew. Shalini Trika, our own in-house technical manager.
Hi, thanks, Doi. Shalini Trika, so technical manager, looking at reforming of standards and specifications, a bit of innovation and a bit of R&D.
Wonderful, thanks, Shalini. And last but certainly not least, Kerry Gagousas.
Thanks, Doi. Good morning, everyone. My name's Kerry. I work at Rail Projects Victoria as the Manager of Innovation and Continuous Improvement. And we're very keen to hear all the great ideas and see, what we can do to include more recycled materials in our projects.
Fantastic, thank you, thank you. So our panelists today will be fielding 20-minute presentations from the 4 businesses, and offering their advice and feedback and questions as well. So just before we get into it, I do want to take you through a bit of a whirlwind introduction to why we do what we do at ecologiQ, and it is because we're here to collaborate with you. So I know out there in the audience, I've got I've got engineers, technical advisories, architects, people from local government, from transport projects, people from interstate departments as well. And we see every opportunity, every project, every bit of road that gets built, every rail infrastructure that gets delivered as an opportunity and a catalyst for change. So we're here to work with you. We've brought here today our industry and supply chain manufacturers, but with any asset owners out there, projects in delivery or in procurement or in design, we're here to partner with you and really challenge how construction is done so that we can bring about new innovation and bring about new business as usual when it comes to building greener. And some of the things that are possible that have come through the showcase before, we've had a social enterprise called OC Connections manufacture Australia's first 100% recycled temporary T-top bollard. So these you'll see on roadsides and lots of events providing traffic management. So you've now got a locally Australian Victorian made bollard that's made from old bollards. They're quite price competitive. So the feedback that we're getting from procurement is that this comes in and starting at $10.95 per bollard, or discounts if you purchase it in bulk. It actually comes in cheaper than what you get from the regular imports and things like that. So for me, a no-brainer if you need traffic management, that is what you should be using. We've been working with the Department of Transport, and last year, Vic Road Spec 733 has been updated to include recycled PVC conduit pipes. So Vinidex manufacture those. Those of you installing any electrical conduits, you've now got a recycled option that's Vic Roads approved and can be used in the projects. We have a company that makes polymer concrete. So we really shouldn't even be calling this a concrete because it has zero cement. It's recycled glass with calcium carbonate and through an activator, and they actually create a resin concrete that's as hard as 90 MPa. It can have a P5 slip resistance. You can see these all throughout the city of Melbourne. Yarra Trams have been using them for a few years now as lane separators to separate the cars from the trams. But major roads have recently installed, as part of the St Kilda Road, bike lanes, new traffic infill, and paving throughout the city that uses this product. So, and it's a bit of a bluestone replacement as well, and it comes in different colors if that's what you're looking for. We have high friction and high visibility surface treatments that can really not just provide safety benefits, you can see them being used in bike lanes and bus lanes, but activate public spaces. So if you're around Melbourne, you see a coloured glinting glass on coloured surfaces on the floor, it's a high chance it's a product that's been made by OmniGrip. So, and more recently, we had Safe Roads come out and present on their brand new T-lock rubber T-lock safety barricade. So this is for high speed safety barriers on 100km+ roads. They found that by adding 4% crumb rubber from end-of-life passenger tires to that those barriers, that actually can improve, reduce the amount of debris spread in the case of any accidents. So it's currently just going through the final stages of approval, but will be imminently approved and available. And you could see that those barriers actually pack away a lot of tires, which are one of our most persistent waste stream. And going into the more innovative space, in New South Wales, the UNSW microfactory has made a replacement ceramic terrazzo floor and wall tile made from textiles and glass that's being used by hospitals and train stations in New South Wales. We'd love to see it here in Victoria. Next month, we'll have Resonate, a new company setting up shop here in Victoria that creates plastic aggregates from all types of soft plastic and other plastic waste streams. So this can be used in non-structural concrete in today's standards and specs. So again, we're seeing the marketplace for the market for recycled aggregates really heat up. And for the built environment, there's businesses like Casafica that actually use your really hard to recycle things like polystyrene waste, paper, glass, and manufacture building materials out of it. So from a leveling coat, which can be used, that has been used in the Melbourne Metro Tunnel projects to smooth that shotcrete, to give it interesting finishes like the ASOP shops. If you ever walked through an ASOP shop, that's actually Casafica coating on their walls. It's being used in sports stadiums, and the same material is used to make building blocks and also infilled concrete blocks and retaining walls and seating. So great stuff that's available here locally. And sometimes the best innovations are the most simple. Dura Panel by Ortec is simply compressed straw panels that can be used to insulate and soundproof buildings, and has been used at the Docklands, Sydney Olympic Games, other major sports stadiums and sound and video stadiums across Victoria. And lastly, we had Entire come and present on the showcase last year using recovered carbon black from end-of-life tyres as a filler in asphalt. And we're happy to report that a few weeks ago, Shelley and myself were out to observe the trial of this material going into the ground in Victoria. So, you know, if this performs as we expect over the next couple of years, this will be coming to the marketplace soon. So without further delay, I want to introduce our lineup for today. For those in the audience, if you have any questions, you can actually chat to our presenters using the chat function on Zoom. We'll kick off with Jackson Ellis from Cacti Conserve. I'll do my best to keep everyone to the 20-minute time frame, and from there we'll get started. Without further delay, Jackson, please tell us about Cacti Conserve.
Thanks, Doi. Thanks for the introduction. And I just wanted to say thanks to ecologiQ for the opportunity to present today, and for all the ongoing support that we've been receiving as recycled materials innovators in Victoria. So my name's Jackson Ellis. I'm the Managing Director of Cacti Conserve. We are a Victorian social enterprise manufacturing and supplying eco site safety products to projects and workplaces across Australia. Our products are certified Australian made from recycled materials and are designed to help organisations reduce their waste footprint. Our local manufacturing processes engage women and men from non-English speaking backgrounds, and we donate 50% of profits to Australian conservation projects. Our mission is to help organisations of all shapes and sizes reduce their dependence on virgin plastic safety products. Via our eco site safety products, we offer the following value propositions: low risk social procurement, custom design and branding, locally manufactured quality goods, made from recycled materials with plant-based and compostable options where appropriate. Our innovation strategy has been to select some of the most commonly used site safety products and bring them to market as a replacement with recycled and recyclable materials. In this presentation, I'll introduce a number of these innovations. Our Eco Barricade tapes are designed and manufactured in Melbourne, providing sustainable quality alternatives to imported virgin plastic products. Tapes are available in either compostable plant-based film with compost-friendly pigments for use in hazardous environments and unretrievable locations, or in a 96% recycled low-density polyethylene from local post-industry soft plastics waste. Supplied in industry-standard styles and prints in 75mm by 100m rolls, with options to have your company logo or specific project message printed on the tape. Next slide, thanks, Doi. Our Eco Safety Bunting is designed and manufactured in Melbourne, made from 100% recycled materials, replacing conventional bunting made with PVC-coated fabrics, which cannot be recycled locally. End-of-life recycling options cover this entire product through textile recycling systems. These products are available in industry-standard colours, choice of 8 or 30m lengths for optimal utility on site, with options for custom printing for your project or company message. Recently, we filled an order of custom printed bunting with environmental exclusion zone messaging to negate the need for laminated signage to be installed on approximately 4 kilometres of bunting, saving time and waste for this project. This product comprises of an rPET rope from 100% recycled ocean harvested plastics, with recycled polyester flags made from 100% post-consumer plastics, conditioned with environmentally friendly colour-fast, water-resistant compounds to enhance outdoor performance and UV resistance. This product contains approximately 40 plastic bottles per 1 kilogram of bunting. Next slide, thanks, Doi. Our eco traffic flags are designed and manufactured in Melbourne from 100% recycled materials, again replacing conventional flags made from PVC coated fabrics which cannot be recycled locally. Available in a range of industry standard styles with option for custom printing for project and company messages on the flags. End-of-life recycling options cover this product through textiles recycling systems. These flags are made from the same woven polyester derived from 100% post-consumer plastics, outdoor ready with colour fast and UV resistance on the back of a locally sourced building salvaged hardwood timber pole. We've received some positive feedback from our traffic management clients that the hardwood poles are much more durable than the lightweight timber used in the imported flags, which frequently break in use and handling, extending the product life and further reducing waste. Next slide, thanks, Stoy. Our eco post systems provide a sustainable and safe alternative to steel star pickets used in barrier support and site segregation. Cacti Conserve's eco post system utilises market-ready recycled plastics with project or client specified modifications for any application. Using fencing posts manufactured by Plastic Forests, an organisation in Albury Wodonga, make these posts from 100% recycled plastics from local agriculture waste with a mineral blend to increase strength and to provide a range of pickets with pointed ends and droppers with square ends designed to replace conventional steel star pickets. Pickets and droppers are available in a range of lengths, and Cacti Conserve offers posts with custom modifications to suit the use and safety requirements, including rounded and painted tops to negate the requirement for post caps, 10mm holes added for tying bunting rope ends, and 6mm slots for supporting the bunting mid-span. This material is recyclable at end of life via return to either Plastic Forests or to Cacti Conserve in Ferntree Gully. Next slide, thanks, Stuart. And to support these products, we have a responsible disposal scheme. As previously stated on the earlier slides, eco site safety products are recyclable at end of life. Our products have been designed with careful material selection to avoid ending up in landfill. Cacti Conserve's end-of-life responsible disposal scheme offers an end-of-life return scheme for expired or damaged site safety products. This allows you to responsibly return any bunting, barricade tape, traffic flags, plastic posts to Cacti Conserve to receive a 10% discount on subsequent site orders of site safety equipment. Return products will be sorted and broken down and recycled into new safety or textile products. This scheme offers either a reply paid parcels via Australia Post for shipping back to Cacti Conserve or a collection from site service with your next order. Next slide, thanks, Stoy. Along the innovation process, we've found a number of barriers to market. Firstly, organisations and individuals have become dependent on the continuous supply of cheap virgin plastic products, which can be mass produced offshore and distributed for such low cost that alternatives invariably seem expensive in comparison. We've found a major barrier to market caused by price comparison alone, rather than considering the hidden cost of the product, not always borne by the customer. We're working with organisations to overcome this barrier through communicating costs to the community of manufacturing offshore in lost jobs, skills and industry capacity, cost to the circular economy. If we import plastics that cannot be recycled or reused here, then we're effectively importing waste, and these products cannot feed into our circular economy locally. Cost to the project via supply chain interruption and inability to customise the product to suit project-specific needs. And lastly, but not leastly, the cost to the environment caused by needless volumes of waste added to landfill or worse. Additionally, there have been some recycled materials not available locally, as our recycling industries have been stunted due to a lack of demand for recycled materials. This creates scarcity, which increases prices and inhibits manufacturing from local materials, further slowing the take-up of recycled products. Next slide, thanks, Doi. So finally, in presenting here today, I've got 3 requests. One is advocacy. Our access to markets would be greatly enhanced by more wholesome appreciation of the auxiliary costs of imported virgin plastics. Sending this message would support our customers in making a better product selection, focusing on value rather than price. Secondly, continue supporting our public and commercial recycling services. Through this, our customers will have more access to materials recycling, and businesses like ours will have greater access to locally recycled materials. And lastly, get in touch. We're always looking for more ways to improve our existing innovations and to explore new innovations within the site safety remit. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. I now invite our panelists to the stage. Any questions? Shalini, first cab of the rank.
Thank you, Jackson. That was a really good presentation, very insightful. I just wanted to ask, in terms of performance, how do your products perform in comparison to their virgin counterparts?
Yeah, good question. And the answers to that could be quite varied depending on the specific product you're talking about. As mentioned, the timber poles and the traffic flags are exceeding the expectation of our customers. Obviously, the fabric is a little bit different to the PVC coated woven polyester that they're used to. So we're just working around some ideas at the moment so that people can either use that material and store it in a way that makes it more suitable for long-term use. So that being that if the flags are wrapped up around the pole, how does that perform and are they easily unwrapped? We've received some good feedback regarding the barricade tapes. The recycled barricade tapes are very durable, and the compostable ones have been made some quantity thicker to allow for more long-term use as well on sites. So we're working in trying to create, I guess, some more nuances within the range so that we can keep up with the expectations of our customers as far as durability goes.
Thanks so much.
Brilliant, thank you. Kerry or Andrew?
Thanks, Jackson, for that. I think it's a fantastic initiative, and I can't really see any reason why our projects shouldn't be adopting this sort of products in their traffic management. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Andrew?
Thanks, Jackson, for the presentation, and it's an impressive product range. It's also impressive that you're tackling some challenging plastic types, and I'm also impressed that you actually thought about the recyclability aspects of your products. When we look at sustainability and using recycled products, we've got to be sure that that end product we can recycle again, and you've done that. So just some observations. So all the best with that, Jackson, and hopefully we can you can find a way forward on that price issue.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And certainly the capacity for these products to be recycled at end of life has been a design constraint from the very beginning. I wouldn't want to be substituting a non-recyclable product with another non-recyclable product. So that's definitely part of our design scope.
Well done, Jackson.
Thank you.
I suppose probably if you can share, Jackson, to date, how have you been procured successfully? That might give the audience some insight in how they might go about getting your products onto their projects or into their inventory. And because I know that every ute on a transport project has got rolls of tape and flag in their glove box or in a box on the back of the truck. How do we get it in there?
Yeah, good question, Doi. And I'm happy to receive any correspondence from anyone listening here. Our website also houses an online store if someone would like to place an order for something which is of a smaller quantity, but we do advise that any larger projects request a quote. They can do that via email to me. Previously, we've been able to display these products in front of some of the bigger building projects around. So we've presented these products to some of the teams at the North East Link project. We've supplied to some level crossing removal sites. Some regional councils have also taken up these products, as well as some of the inland rail projects. So they often engage with me personally to express their needs, and then I can meet them with either coming up with a quote for a specific order they might have, and usually and frequently they've got a specific problem that they're trying to solve as well. So we're always looking to work with new customers if they've got something that's a bit outside of the box, and looking for an innovation partner. We're happy to be that partner with them and to bring something to market that satisfies their needs.
Yeah, and not to limit the customer base, but has it been the safety teams, the sustainability teams, or both, or is it engineering, or is it traffic management? Who have you found yourself engaging with?
Yeah, and that varies from project to project. As you could probably understand, a lot of projects have an organisational chart which is a little bit varied from others. And so sometimes I'm dealing directly with the social procurement team, sometimes I'm dealing with the sustainability team or the environmental team on site, or with the safety people. So they've all got a part to play in it, and I'm happy to meet with any of them. But the important thing is that someone reaches out, because these are consumable products. And like you say, if they're sitting on a shelf somewhere and waiting to be used, then they need to be procured from someone. And it's just about putting the right people in place to make those connections and reach out. I'm happy to organise any meetings on site to display these products if someone has a team that they think might be interested on their project.
Great, thank you. And before we move on to the next presenter, Jackson, there's a question in the Q&A. If you want to hop in there after this and answer that from Stephen Pedernakis, just about the source of the ocean plastics. So feel free to hop on in and answer that question. Thank you, Jackson.
Yeah, just reading that question there now, sorry. Yeah, so we've procured the RPET rope from a contractor of ours. They supply the rope in its finished form, and they've got a certificate that shows that is an ocean-bound plastic, just to answer that one.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And if there's any other questions for Jackson, please feel free to pop it into the chat function and Jackson can answer those directly, typing his responses. So I now introduce Scott, where are you, Scott? There you go, Scott Colbert from Salix to talk to you about the new Infinity composite sleeper. Scott, over to you.
Thank you, Doi. I trust you can hear me okay. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you, ecologiQ, for your support today. Greatly appreciated. So you can flick over to the next slide, please. Salix is a specialist engineering, design and product supply business focusing in the rail sector. And we've operated in that space for the last 18 years, predominantly Australia and New Zealand. We have a presence, but we also do in other parts of the world, in South America and Chile, and also in the US. I'm the general manager of our new product development and innovation, and we have over the last 12 months been developing a range of green sustainable products for track and also civil, specifically really for that rail corridor where we specialise. And I want to talk to you about the Infinity composite sleeper today. Next slide, please. So this is what I would coin a next generation composite sleeper. Plastics and composite sleepers have been around for a while. However, I think this is certainly very much cutting edge. It was developed, it's not Salix's technology. we have licensed it and have the exclusive rights for Australia and New Zealand, but it was developed by a couple of smart Germans based on a specific need by the rail authority in Germany to develop a high-performing, sustainable sleeper product, and this is the end result. So this was done back in 2015 and has since been widely used around Europe. It's a fully circular product and has very strong environmental and sustainable credentials. Carbon footprint reduction is quite significant compared to your conventional cement concrete sleepers, and there's also significant savings in landfill. Highly durable product designed for 50 years, and from a performance perspective, it's a high performing product with very good mechanical strength, and certainly tested to and used in applications at quite high speeds and heavy axle loads. As I said, durable product, low maintenance, and as a result, it's a low life cycle cost product. We are planning for local manufacture in Australia. Current location is to be determined currently, but the plan is that we'll be manufacturing here locally and we'll be using local recycled plastic. Next slide, please. This sleeper, because of its strong mechanical performance characteristics, can be widely used across lots of applications in track. So mainline, in your passenger metro urban areas, also widely used in heavy haul and freight applications up to axle loads of 40 tonnes. Used a lot in turnout switches and crossing applications where there are quite significantly heavy load bearing, and the lightweight nature of it, coupled with its strong flexural strength, has lent itself to be using in bridge applications as well. And it's also been used in light rail embedded track applications around Europe to date. Next slide. Thank you. One of the real advantages and unique features of this composite sleeper is the fact that it's customizable. And by that, I mean to different cross sections and dimensions, and also different performance requirements to meet specific customer requirements. Notwithstanding that, we have 3 standard models that are available that are based on varying levels of performance. And within that standard range, we have 2 different standard cross-section dimensions, so 260 wide by 160 high and 230 wide by 180 high. And we also do a deeper bearer, which can be used for bridge applications as well. We can manufacture this in lengths up to 5.3 metres long, and we also, through a specialised joining system, can join together a couple of lengths to make longer bearers, which is particularly relevant to turnout applications. It has universal fastening systems applications. So for those in rail, E-clip, fast clip, W-clip, it's quite universal in terms of the fixing systems that can be used. Next slide, please, Joy. From a manufacturing perspective, we are using, in the main, it's post-consumer waste, soft plastics, and it's mainly HDPE, LDPE and LLDPE, and we essentially take it in its worst possible form. It's contaminated, and we can process that into a usable form to produce a high quality, high performing sleeper. The manufacturing process we use is quite unique. It's a lower energy, done under sort of cooler temperatures, and we compound the recycled plastics that we've processed with some natural fibres, which give it its flexural strength. And as a result, we don't need to put any additional stiffening into the sleeper. We don't need any fiberglass. We don't need any pre-stressed steel reinforcement. So we have a high quality product and high performing product without doing that. As I said, we'll be manufacturing these sleepers locally. The plant that we've designed, it's a high capacity, high output plant. One line can produce 120,000 sleepers per year, and we have the capacity to at least triple those volumes. Next slide, please. The big advantages or benefits of this product is really the sustainability aspect. It's as a result of its manufacturing process. The embodied carbon is significantly reduced compared to traditional sleepers, concrete, steel, and some other plastics. It is a 60+% saving compared to your cement concrete sleepers that are widely used today. And from a landfill savings perspective, we're talking around 113 tonnes of plastic waste saved per kilometre of track laid with the composite sleepers. From an environmental perspective, it's not non-toxic and it's non-bleaching product. Next slide, please. This is a 100% closed loop product. We use, as I said, post-consumer waste mainly, with some industrial waste. And with our plant, we can actually grind down a sleeper that's end of life and can use that to produce a new generation sleeper. And there is zero leakage in that process. So that process can be done infinitely. So it's a very value cost efficient solution for the track. Next slide. Additional benefits of the product, it's lightweight. So there are benefits in terms of handling, logistics, further reduction in carbon emissions, the ability to be able to prefabricate off-site and deliver to a project. We're not using any different equipment or machinery to install and maintain. The machinability of the product is very good. We can cut and drill without any impediments, without any steel or glass fibre reinforcement. It's a safe product to handle. The durability is better than concrete, timber and steel sleepers. Its performance in terms of water and moisture and chemical resistance is very, very high. And that all enhances the durability of the product. High noise and vibration performance of the product compared to other traditional sleepers. And fire resistance is also high. Disposal costs of the sleeper are lower compared to your concrete and timber and steel sleepers. So overall, it's a lower life cycle cost solution. Next slide. This product's tried and tested. So initially, all the testing was done at a reputable transport testing facility in Munich that does most of the testings for railway infrastructure products across Europe. It's received Deutsche Bahn approval, and also by the German Federal Railways, and subsequent to that, it has received European interoperability across European markets where it's been widely used to date. So all the testing that has been done on the product has been to European, ISO, and also US ARIMA standards. The alignment of that testing very much lines up with Australian standard requirements, and we're very comfortable that all those boxes from an Australian standard perspective have been ticked. The mechanical performance, the elasticity, the durability are all very high in this product, and it has been tested dynamically over longer periods of time in temperatures up to 60 degrees. So we're quite comfortable that it'll perform in Australian conditions. We are currently looking at a number of trial applications throughout the country at the moment, and have just started type approval processes.
I'm
Next
mindful
slide,
we're at time, Scott, so I do want to invite the panelists. So
Sure.
anything else you want to cover off? I think
that last slide there is a recent snapshot of some reference sites around Europe, and I guess the takeaway is there's a flavour there of using this product across all different applications, from mainline track to heavy haul freight to turnouts, bridges. It's quite universally been used to date.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. I might start with you, Kerry, being all things rail on this panel.
Hey, Scott, thanks for the presentation. Really appreciate it. Very good. Yeah, so PV's used recycled plastic sleepers a bit, but the ones we've used have been in limited applications. So the type approval I think we got was only up to low speed areas. I think it was only up to 15 kilometers an hour.
Yep.
So you mentioned, obviously, you've got all these examples here internationally of full speed, and you talked about type approvals. I just want to ask, what's the status of those type approvals with some of our Victorian operators like V-Line and MTM? And I have a second question, but I'll let you answer that one first.
From a Victorian perspective, we're at baseline 0 from a type approval perspective. There's some work to be done there. We've made some progress in some of the other states around the country, but Victoria, there's certainly work to do, and it's certainly a key priority market for us.
Okay, thank you for that, Scott. And the other thing I just wanted to ask was, in regards to availability of this product in Australia. So I understand, if I read the application correctly, mass production was at the end of 2024. Is that correct?
That's what we're looking at today, and that's an achievable timeframe. Type approvals are important to us, and that's why we're keen to get some sponsorship to get product out in the field and get the type of approvals done. So before we push the button on the investment of the plant, I need to tick some of those boxes first. But the product is available certainly today. Yeah, it can be imported, not ideal, but certainly, you know, for high performance composite sleeper that can operate at 38 tonnes and 160 kilometres an hour is required, we certainly can provide a solution that's still cost effective.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Scott. Appreciate it. I'll let the other panelists ask their questions.
Cheers.
Thanks, Kerry. Shalini.
Thanks, Scott. That was great. As you know, I think we're trying to get you in front of MTM and V-Line, and just trying to facilitate the process, help you assist, you know, with the type approvals. My question was regarding the ballast that will be supporting this. Would the quality of the ballast have to be superior, being that the actual sleeper might be a bit lighter than the old conventional concrete sleeper? And my second question is around the joinery of the sleeper itself as well. Does it come with the joinery, or is that something that's got to be drilled on site? How does that actually get fixed onto the track?
So from a ballast perspective, yeah, there's no different requirements in terms of the ballast. The interface between the composite sleeper and the ballast still works effectively. So there's no issues there. And sorry, your second question about
Joinery.
the joinery, so the fastening system. So there are a number of different options available, and we can provide it either with the fastening system, or we can leave it to the contractor to install.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Lady. Andrew.
Thanks, Scott, for your presentation. I had a list of questions which you were answering as you went along with your presentation. So well done.
Good.
I'm from the roads space, but what's common to both roads and rails is with new products is long-term confidence in long-term performance, and certainly what you've presented with the tick off of various European countries' standards is quite pleasing. And I know your current slide shows recent lists of years of installation, but when did the installation of these products first begin in Europe?
There were some early installations in around 2015-16, but really it kicked off probably from 2017 was probably when we started to see it sort of, I guess, penetrate across the European markets.
So that's 8 years of field performance in probably a host of different applications. So
Yeah.
those European countries active in monitoring those products to actually feed back actual field performance?
Yes, there has been some feedback, and certainly with some of the earlier reference sites over those longer durations, we've got some testimonials and some references that are available. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other question related to the source of plastic, I think you indicated that you're using post-industrial plastic.
Post-consumer mainly.
Post-consumer. So is that co-mingled plastic?
Yes, it's mixed. Yep, absolutely.
It's mixed, yeah. And
Yeah.
so given that co-mingled plastic can vary in its characteristics, is that something that you've got to monitor closely in your manufacturing process, or is there scope to be quite flexible with that varying changes in the input of the plastic types and quantities?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There is some flexibility around the different mixes between HDPE, LDPE, and LLDPE, so we can vary to certain extents across those, and it is quite closely monitored. We obviously need to ensure that it's a homogeneous product. So there's quite some rigorous or robust, I guess, selection process and testing throughout that manufacturing.
And presumably you'll have your quality control procedures that monitor all of that and produce the appropriate testing, etc.
Correct. Yes.
Thanks, Scott, for your presentation.
Cheers. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Scott. So we'll work with you, Scott, to see if we can get you in front of MTM and V-Line, and keen to see how we can progress with the product.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Now, moving away from plastics, I would like to invite, I think, Josh. He'll be opening on EnviroStraw's behalf. Tell us about soil rehabilitation remediation.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our presentation, and thank you, Doi, for inviting us along today. So our presentation is titled Using Hydromulch to Rebuild Soil Carbon in Depleted Soils, Provide Erosion Protection and also Sediment Control as well. So my name's Josh. I'm the revegetation specialist for EnviroStraw for the southern part of Australia and New Zealand as well. Today, presenting for us, we have a very special team member from EnviroStraw, which is Paul J. Storer. So Paul is a senior soil microbiologist, a plant physiologist, a researcher in agriculture and rehabilitation, a consultant with experience in soil biology, soil health and mineral nutrition in plants, Paul's highly experienced and skilled in rehabilitation of depleted and disturbed soils, enhancing nutrient and water use efficiency, and improving soil carbon through regenerative practices. So Paul's passionate a bit about innovation and new paradigm of beyond sustainability in agriculture and reclamation. So if we can just go to the next or the first slide, please, Doi. So the quick overview will be talking about hydromulching versus hydroseeding or drill seeding, a bit of innovative information about our hydromulch and how we used recycled products and straw as part of our process. And then Paul is going to really talk about the science behind the soil microbes, building soil carbon, the erosion control abilities of our products, and how our fertilizers and microbe technology works with native species in particular. And then obviously the question and answer at the end. So just onto the first slide, if we could, please. I'll just give a little bit of an introduction into hydromulching versus hydroseeding. So hydroseeding is hydraulically applied seed and fertilizer solution. It comes out of a similar machine that you'd use for hydromulching, but you're relying on having very good quality topsoils, and you're pretty much doing the same sort of preparation that you'd like to see in a domestic landscaping scenario, where you'd have good quality topsoil with good soil carbon, good organic matter, and relying on the nutrient in the soil to actually grow that seed. Hydromulching is a little bit different. We want 100% soil cover of a hydromulch. In our case, we're using a straw-based product. Now, by providing that 100% cover, we're giving full sediment and erosion control. And we're also giving a body for that seed to germinate and grow in, and then work its way through the soil with our suite of microbes to create a sustainable outcome for erosion and sediment control. So that's basically the differences in hydroseeding and hydromulching. And then from here on, I'll let Paul take over.
Thanks for that, Josh, and thanks, Doi, for having us on. If we can go to the next slide, please. What I want to do is very quickly give you a basic overview of our next generation, what we call all-in-one bag hydromulch technologies. Basically, these are derived from recycled and repurposed Australian waste stream inputs, and we manufacture at Yarrawonga in Victoria. Basically, we've been developing this technology over the last 20 years, and it's been implemented in both roading and mine site rehabilitation, agricultural, soil restoration, and so on over the last 10 years. So it's fairly well established, and it's all about ultimately outcome. The whole thing about this EnviroStraw technology is it's more than just a hydromulch. Basically, within the one bag system, we include all sorts of things that are required to enhance soil health and water use efficiency. And ultimately, that's by improving soil fertility, increasing beneficial microbial activity within the soil. And this microbial activity leads to improved soil carbon, and the relevance of that become obvious in a little while. The system is ideal for depleted soils, worked soils, low carbon sands, like we have in Western Australia, and obviously in situations, particularly in roading projects where there is no topsoil. The whole aim of what we're doing is about helping to prevent erosion, stop topsoils blowing away, and it's perfect for landscaping, roading, revegetation projects, and so on. If we click, yep, thanks. Basically, this cutting-edge technology, and as I said, it's based on a significant amount of scientific research and development, done a lot of lab testing, in-field validation, and obviously now a significant amount of use in the field in projects. In 2020, we received the IECA award for innovation in the erosion control industry. Thank you. Next slide. And so what I want to do is just quickly go into what's within this one bag spray-on product. Basically, it's very simple to use. We apply it through hydromulchers, which is effectively a spray machine like you see on the right-hand side there. We've also done it through helicopters and so on. But ultimately, the bulk of the work is as a hydromulch, which is basically a biotic growth media, as Josh has described. And it's a matter of just adding the one bag system to a hydromulch system, add the seed and water. Within the bag, we include these mechanically and thermally processed blend of natural plant fibers, straws, jutes, and so on. And these are recycled byproducts of the grains and cereals industry. We used recycled newsprint and control release fertilizers, which are CRF. Basically, these are non-leaching natural mineral ores that we put together as a fertilizer, and they are a byproduct or the fines that come out of the mining industry and out of quarrying. And so, as you can see, the whole thing is put together as a suite of recycled or end-use products from other industries and are recycled into what becomes an amazing system for growing the soil. And added to that, we have a multi-strain suite of beneficial microbes that do a whole load of things within the system, but ultimately it's about producing increased soil fertility and growing soil carbon. And added to that, we then have biocompatible tackifiers and binders that hold the mulch down on the ground until the seeds germinate and then the roots of the plants hold everything in place. Now, this provides an incredibly viable economic and environmental advantage to any project, particularly in roading, rails, mine site rehabilitation, and so on. And ultimately, it's all about successful outcomes. Next slide, please.
I just note there's 3 minutes left, Paul. So
okay, so if you want to just play the video, basically, as you can see, the one bag system is dropped into hydromulch system. You add water, you add seed, you spray it out. Next, thanks. Yep. And so just in terms of the science of the system, ultimately what we're doing is about creating living soils. So we've moved beyond just the physical and chemical aspects of soil into the biological aspects. And this is where we're kicking the real goals, using the insoluble mineral nutrients that don't leach into the environment so that they're river safe. We use beneficial microbes that use those nutrients and pass them on to the germinating plant and create resilience within the growing system. And then from that system, the microbes grow organic carbon. And so by generating the carbon, we end up in building some strength into the soil, structure into the soil, and ultimately they act as a water sponge. The organic carbon is a water sponge that holds onto moisture. So apart from in flooding times, 90% of the time in reconstruction and roading projects, mine site rehabilitation, it's a waterless system. It has to rely on what comes from the sky. And so the water use efficiency increases. Ultimately, by using this system, we get improved soil health, improved vegetative cover, and that leads to reduced erosion and obviously economic and environmental sustainability. Next slide, thanks. And this is just showing you a roading project, post-fire rehabilitation in Queensland up here in 2019. Basically, hydromulch with the microbes and minerals and so on was sprayed on with the seed. It's a no watering system given the proximity. The hydromulch and the storm guard was used for increased functional longevity. Next slide. this is after rain event and 4 weeks after application. You can see that there's a bit of a strike starting to happen. Next slide. 6 weeks later, you can see that there's really strong, robust growth. Next slide. And then after 5 months, you can see that we've gone from primary species grasses through to climax community of native plant species. And this is ultimately the outcomes that we're chasing. I think if we can just take it down to the video, if you can just, yeah, the next one, I think. I'll just use this as a finishing statement. Basically, this is the technology we're using. So here we have mineral fertilizers, control release, and across the surface, you can see this kind of slime looking stuff growing. That's the bacteria, and we can see the fungal hyphae growing. This is our microbial technology slowly eating those fertilizers. And this is where we get the control release. We then build organic carbon within the soil, and that holds on to moisture. So we end up with a fairly wet system in the ground. We end up with resilient plant growth, and you can see the root systems. They have those fine hairs. That's where things like our mycorrhizal fungi attach and start pulling nutrients into the plant. But the take-home message I want you to get is that we're developing a dynamic living system. And so as you see the seeds germinating and punching up through the hydromulch, you can actually see that we're dealing with a living soil. Soil isn't a static dead medium, it's actually a living one. And by using our technology, we're actually creating these type of systems where the biological, the chemical and the physical pull together, and we end up with a dynamic living system. So all I can do is encourage you to look at using EnviroStraw's innovative technologies in your projects for efficient carbon sequestration. And this is microbiology is just showing you the mycorrhizal growing. If we then move forward 3 or 4 slides, Doi, keep going, just here. Basically, what the take-home message is that we're trying to create living dynamic systems. And if we can do that within the soil, we have a highly sustainable system that's based on a very simple to apply hydromulch system. I think we'll hand it over for questions.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, we are a little bit over time, so I'd like to invite the panelists to come with any questions they might have. Perhaps Andrew from Department of Transport.
Thanks, Josh and Paul, for your presentation. No questions as such, other than a question to you. So is there any obstacles or hurdles in the take-up of your product from a government specification point of view? Is it an issue of cost? What are the hurdles you're facing?
I'll take it if you like, Paul. It's purely a specification. So the Vic Road specification is a little bit dated, even though it's been recently updated. But if you were to look at the New South Wales R178 or the main roads Queensland, what's that one called, Paul? The
MRTS 16.
MRTS 16 is probably the best one in the country that talks about actually doing the seedbed preparation, using a hydromulch at the correct rate. And probably doing a little bit of we've got a little initiative that we call Think Straw. We use straw as an acronym for soil testing, test and treat the soil, use the right products, apply it correctly, and water and maintenance. So if you follow that acronym of straw, you'll get a great result. And that's probably what we're not seeing being done in Victoria at the moment. There's a very loose spec out there for revegetation on roadsides. Some of it refers back to the EPA specification or requirements on erosion control, where the EPA actually recommend hydromulching, but all of that is taken up in the R178 or the main roads transport in Queensland specification.
All right, thanks, Josh and Paul. I'll note that and take it up with my colleagues as well, which I'm sure they're across their issues, but we'll have a chat anyway. Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks, Andrew. Shalini.
Thank you, Josh and Paul. I just have one question as to, are there any specific conditions that hydromulching would perform better in versus hydroseeding?
So look, hydromulching will perform better in any scenario. Hydromulching will perform better in any scenario. Hydroseeding, you need to have, I suppose, tamed conditions. You need to have imported topsoil. Topsoil needs to be of good quality. And you need to be sure that you're going to get quick germination, whether that be through irrigation or climatic conditions, because any water, rain, wind will wash that seeding away. So hydromulching is a longer term erosion protection that will also hold the seed in place for longer should you have adverse climatic conditions or no ability to irrigate the site. So when we say about the W in our Think Straw initiative, the watering program may be that we're not going to water. We don't have the ability to water. So we will add additional binders. We'll put a heavier layer of mulch down to allow for the climate to catch up, and then germination will follow. So we'll protect the soil with an erosion and sediment control using the hydromulch that will also hold the seed in place until the climate allows that seed to germinate.
Thank you. Thanks.
Fantastic. Kerry, from a rail perspective.
Thanks, Josh. Great presentation, but I have no further comments to add. So thanks for that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Josh and Paul. Did you have any closing comments to the audience here or anything before we move on to next presenter?
Only that if you've got any further interest, the QR codes that are on the screen at the moment, you can scan on those, and that'll be a link to our website and a direct email to me as well.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm not sure if there's any questions that have popped up in the Q&A for yourself, but feel free to jump in there and answer any that are directed at you. I've just noticed here, Scott Colbert from Salix, if you're still there, there's a few questions about the sleepers that are in the Q&A function, so feel free to hop on in and answer those. But thank you, EnviroStraw, for telling us all about hydromulching. Now, here we go. Over to Steve Morris from Close the Loop. Now, we're happy to hear that Tonoplas is back in production. Steve, welcome to the virtual.
Thanks very much. Thanks a lot, Dewey. Can you hear me well?
Loud and clear.
Great. Thanks very much for the opportunity to give everybody an update on where Tonoplas is at. Just take note of the email address on this screen, if you would, and happy to deal with anything, any questions, site visits, or what have you after today. Next one, please, Dewey. So most people know that Tonoplas has been around for a while. It's actually a 10-year overnight success that has had its challenges along the way, including a significant fire event 12 months ago. We are back up and running with several processes at Close the Loop. In fact, some of them we continued all the way through because only part of our factory was destroyed. And we will be completely manufacturing Tonoplas by the end of this year. I'd like to give everyone a little bit of an update about what's happened in the Close the Loop world since Close the Loop started 23 years ago in Melbourne. We're now part of a larger group called the Close the Loop Group, which has listed successfully on the Australian Stock Exchange in late 21. We were IPO of the year in 2022, and the share price is traveling along quite nicely. So if you're interested in circular economy type investments, CLG is the ticker code there. But you can see on that image on the left-hand side, there are numerous divisions within our organisation. Each have been standalone companies in their own right, and we are across 3 continents, Asia Pacific, North America and Europe. And we're also big time into packaging, so sustainable packaging. Next one, please, Dewey. Here's some of the brands we work with, and we do pride ourselves on long-term trusted relationships with our partners. Again, we did start life as a recycler of imaging supplies, and quickly, relatively, 10 years it took us to become the largest recycler of imaging consumables in the world. Imaging consumables include waste toner powder, and with our brand promise of zero waste to landfill, that's driven the innovation behind Tonerplast, which I'll start to share with you now. Next one, please, Dewey. Last bragging slide here, a little bit of experience and respect, and we've been awarded over the journey that we're very thankful for, the only Australian finalist in the Ellen MacArthur Foundation Circulars, still to this day, to our knowledge. And last year, very thankful to pick up one of the first ever Circularity Awards for the Circularity Conference 22. Thanks, mate. Oh, we're also featured in this month's Roads and Infrastructure magazine. Please have a look at the June issue of that publication, and there's an interesting story about us and our philosophies around circularity. So Tonerplast, yes, well known to some. I've seen everybody on the call today. Hello to those friends, old and new. We've been at this for 10 years. Started off with surveying some roads in the USA that were modified using toner powder. Toner powder is polymer. And we realized after surveying that the project was abandoned, and we surveyed those roads and saw some very, very interesting results after 5 and 7 years. And that included improved resistance to deformation, improved fatigue life, but mainly deformation for straight toner powder. So we decided that we would re-engineer the additive and add mixed soft plastics in combination with toner powder and recycled oil. And we produce a homogeneous engineered product called Tonerplast, which is added at the asphalt plant at about 1% of the overall asphalt by weight. And the performance characteristics that are improved and very demonstrable are resistance to deformation, improved fatigue life, and lower carbon footprint and lower whole of life costs. If you extrapolate the cost per year of life, the improved fatigue life gives an extra 15% to the asset life. Next one, please. Make sure I keep us on track here. This slide shows that the key ingredient of Tonerplast and Rflex, for that matter, I won't talk about Rflex today, but it is an injection molding grade of plastic that we manufacture as well. The key ingredients to Rflex are mixed soft plastics, and those bales there are RedCycle. We are the largest recycler by volume of RedCycle material. Very sad to see the demise of that project. But I can assure you there's an abundance of mixed soft plastics available from many, many different sources, some of which I'll talk about in a moment. The way that we manufacture has changed since the fire, and the next slide, thanks Dewey, will explain to everybody a little more clearly which way we've decided to head. This is the first commercial application of the mix melter technology. This plant is rated at 1.2 tonnes an hour, so we'll be looking at about 5,000 tonnes per annum. About half that formulation is mixed soft plastics, and then the other half is a combination of toner powder, again polymers, with recycled oil. This is the best technology we've seen in 23 years to homogenize that blend of plastics, which can sometimes include polymers of different melt temperatures when you're talking post-consumer. I think one of the panel alluded to the risk of variability before. We've been doing this for a long time, but not with this technology. So we tested this very stringently up at Echuca when the boys had a small test rig up there, and we're now going ahead with not only commercializing this new technology, but manufacturing in Australia as well, which is really exciting. And I invite you all to come and have a look. You'll hear in the media when we're ready to go. Again, the material is melted, drops into a twin screw extruder, and where further compounding takes place in order to meet the strict requirements of getting these products into roads. Thanks, Dewey. The model is to duplicate this plant and manufacture tonoplasts in many geographies around the country, eventually, starting with the first one in Victoria. And the reason for that, of course, is you want to be creating, or we want to be creating local jobs where the waste is generated. Thanks, Dewey. Next slide. A really interesting piece here. We have embarked on some work with ThinkStep ANZ, where we're measuring the material circularity of tonoplasts in an asphalt road. We believe our initial work with ThinkStep has shown that we can get a significant improvement in material circularity outcome, which makes available to us and our partners, the contractors and the asphalt companies, or the contractors really, the ISC innovation points. Happy to talk to anybody about that. It's early days for us, but I think it's a trend that is coming, and I'm happy to introduce anybody to the concept of material circularity. Next one, please, mate. I did want to talk a little bit about a contract that we've recently signed with the City of Greater Bendigo, which I believe is a sign of the future. We call it a circular contract. In this case, we're diverting mixed soft plastics from landfill at Bendigo, baling at Bendigo, shipping down to close the loop, and then turning into tonoplasts. And Bendigo have signed up for taking back an equivalent amount by weight of tonoplasts to the soft plastics that we divert from landfill. Now, you might say, okay, well, you're not making tonoplasts yet, so where's it going? We've only just started the project, but we have received a couple of truckloads, and they're going to partner companies for recycling while we're getting that new line up and running. Next one, please. Oh, perfect. Left us just enough time for a few questions and what have you. So thanks again for the opportunity, and please reach out via email if your questions aren't answered today.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for the update about Close the Loop. Yeah, no, I do recall. I can't believe it felt like yesterday when I got the call from you that you'd had a factory fire overnight. But glad to see here we are 12 months later, and hopefully you'll be back up and running by the end of the year. So
thank you very much.
I open to the panelists. Anyone? Andrew, you turn your camera on first.
Yeah, Steve's talking my language, so g'day, Steve.
G'day, Andrew.
We're familiar with the tonoplast product and its use in asphalt applications. So I suppose, just a general comment, given some recent work that Austroads did in the use of recycled plastics in asphalt, we're a lot more informed today than we were, I suppose, when you were out there promoting your product. So we believe we have a way forward to assessing that type of application, both from a quality, microplastics, fuming, performance point of view. So we'll be looking in soon to make a change to one of our standards that allows us to formally consider the use of recycled plastics into asphalt, such that if the product is demonstrated as being of the appropriate performance, then the user of that product can actually seek formal registration of that asphalt mix. So I think we've come a fair way in being able to assess that application, Steve. So no doubt you'll be knocking on our door sometime in the near future.
Oh, thank you, Andrew, for that update, mate. Yeah, that's very, very encouraging. And I would like to congratulate you and thank you for the foresight that you have had, VicDot, Major Road Projects Victoria and ecologiQ. For the audience's knowledge, we were able to, which is a partnership between CPB contractors, Downer and Close the Loop, we were able to seek an approval from VicDot for a mixed design in the M80 freeway upgrade between Sydney Road and Edgars Road. And that basically has changed our world. And it's thanks to your willingness to support this technology that was able to happen. That was about 400 tonnes alone, that one job. And we're now getting into, you'll be interested, Andrew, testing the performance of that SI layer in comparison to a control section on the same project. And from what we've seen on council roads testing in the past, the performance is going to be very encouraging. We love the work that Filippo's done at RMIT, that Austroads work. And it's been a funny journey because virgin polymers have been used in the highest performing roads in the world for over 40 years. but there was some sort of resistance for a while there to recycled polymers, even though they perform the same in terms of risk and other aspects. So it's been an interesting journey, but I feel like now we're on the hockey stick side of the potential for this technology. So thanks, Andrew.
And one final comment, Steve. I think with the investment you've made into new equipment, that's going to give us increased confidence that one of the key inputs is going to be of the appropriate, consistent quality as well. So that's good to see. So all the best, Steve.
Great. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Kerry or Shalini? Shalini.
Thanks, Steve, for that. Just in terms of the performance benefits on the M80, obviously, I'd just be curious to know, if you can share that information when you have it, that'd be great. But yeah, what other kind of support can we provide you with? That would be my question.
Oh, thank you so much, Shalini. It really is, if you like, finding the specifications that fit the bill, which is why I was so happy to hear what Andrew said. I recently spoke on a podcast with Roads Australia, and they've done some work with ACOR, the Australian Council of Recyclers, and the number one outcome from that, sorry, I said Roads Australia. I did do a podcast with Roads Australia, but this one was Standards Australia. And the number one outcome, Shalini, was to standardise the specifications for roads, even council roads, nationally, so that if we've proven a technology like Tonoplast in Victoria, for example, then the barriers come down in New South Wales and other states. So that's one way. And just your interest, I will certainly get you the performance data on that SI layer of the M80 freeway. And yes, if you can help share the love, that's exactly what we would like, Shalini. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
Thanks, Steve. It was a good presentation, and I think all the questions are being comprehensively covered. So all the best with that, and we look forward to seeing your product in action.
Much appreciated, Kerry.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Steve. So yeah, great update here, and to hear that closed loop's back up and running. And I'd like to get it to the Echuca plant one day when it's up and running. We've got a number of our supply partners operating out of regional Victoria. So yeah, I think it's great that it's not all just Melbourne metro centric. So thank you. I think there's just one question for you, Steve, in the chat function. No, disappeared. So there's a question there from Steve Halligan about use of Tonoplast and asphalt without without wrap. What happens if it's fatigue resistant? So feel free, Steve, to pop into the Q&A and answer that question live.
Yep, will do. Thanks for the question, Steve. I'll get right back to you on that.
Thank you.
Dewey, can I just clarify one thing, mate? And that is that we are going to continue our operations in Melbourne and not Echuca, even though we love regional Victoria as well, and we'll be there eventually. No, we're resuming in our current location in Melbourne.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for the clarification. So
thanks.
Cheers, Steve. So we've finished up a little bit ahead of time, but that's okay. I think it's an early lunch for most of you, I hope. Just to wrap up, I hope you've enjoyed today's showcase. If you wanted to find out more and you're not already on our ecologiQ Knowledge Hub, that is the best treasure chest of information that you can access. So on our Knowledge Hub, we have a supply map that has not only today's suppliers, but many other manufacturers across Victoria. There are case studies, there are reference guides to standards and specifications that tell you exactly what you can already use when it comes to recycled and reused materials. And these our former showcases are all recorded on YouTube as well, so you can get in there and really learn quite a bit. So it's genuinely the best source of information. Next up, I know we run a lot of these online type events, but if you wanted to meet people in real life, where ecologiQ will be hosting its inaugural 2023 conference and trade Hall. So this will be on at the Melbourne Convention Centre this September, Monday the 18th through to Wednesday the 20th. If you jump onto the ecologiQ website, I think ticket sales are open. If you're a manufacturer and you'd like to exhibit, then or you're anyone you're keen to sponsor and get involved, there's sponsorship packages that our prospectus is out, and there are booths available to hire, and of course there are tickets that you can purchase to travel to just the trade hall, just the conference, or to both events. And I suppose, like all things social media these days, LinkedIn is probably one of the best and fastest ways to connect with us. So please reach out to us on ecologiq@roadprojects.vic.gov.au if you have any questions. Hopefully today's presenters have inspired you, and you can see there's an opportunity for them on your projects or in your works. Otherwise, yeah, we'd love to have you back at our next showcase, which at this stage, I think we'll run our next one early August. So please keep an eye out, and thanks again for dialing in today.
Thanks all.
Thanks very much, Doy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Doy.